Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
Alright, so how would you do a Golden Age game?
Right, so for those that didn't listen to our stuff 2 days ago, or at least 2 episodes ago, a Golden World game is kind of the height of your civilization, the height of the world's civilization. This is where all of the crazy magic or tech is being created. There is no other time than this time in terms of the height of what things will ever be like. So after this time passes, the world will devolve. So if you think about it, in our world, until the last probably 150 years, the height of civilization was at the height of the Roman Empire because they had glass. They had food being transported from all over the known world.
They had steam tech.
They had steam. They had magnetism. Now,
Yes.
most of this was used in weird religious rituals, but they still had the technology.
They even had batteries.
They had paint. They had all sorts of fun stuff. And you could eat stuff from Egypt and from Germany in the same day, which is huge for that time period.
Especially since everything's done by cart.
Yeah. And then what happened, and boat. And then what happened is they got sacked twice and Rome fell into disarray and we went into what's known as the Dark Ages, also then later known as the Medieval Ages. But then we went into the Dark Ages because knowledge was going out and there was famines and problems with food because all of these infrastructures now had collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And until really the invention of like the steam engine and some of the other stuff in like the late 1800s, really we weren't as good as Rome technologically for a lot of reasons. So the industrial age then pulled us into a different type of thing. And one can argue now that we're in a type of golden age. Now that said, if we don't know that unless the world declines after this age is over.
Mm-hmm.
So now think about that from a fantasy perspective. You are building, there are great monuments going up. The statues are going up. They're hundreds of feet tall. Maybe they even move. Maybe they're autonomous. What's that word? The golems, basically, that protect cities. They all these things where, there's floating castles in the sky because there's the magic to support that. There's, everyone has magic. Everyone uses magic for the most part. It's kind of like Harry Potter writ large, where you want to stir something, you make the magic spoon do it. You don't stir it yourself.
Uh-huh.
And
oh, hey, every single statue inside Hogwarts
is alive.
Is alive.
Or could be,
or
with a command. Or
paintings are that way, or the staircases move.
Yeah.
Why? Hogwarts was built by their founding in the golden age of Harry Potter's world.
Exactly. Because Harry Potter's not the golden age because there's a lot of magic that's no longer done. And the beasts are declining. And now think about it. That's the other piece. The beasts are there. So you have civilizations of... let me put it this way. So think about it this way. Your world is always at war. Humanity is building things that no one will ever see again. But they're able to do it because they're pushing magic to the utmost limit because they're facing a foe. Could be other humans. Could be other monsters. Could be all of the above. Could be deities even, where humanity is pushing hard and fast against the world itself. It's trying to kill them.
War sparks innovation.
Absolutely.
You see that with World War II. How many tech did we come out with World War I and World War II?
Yep.
That then we found things for later on, like radar.
Yeah.
It was only invented to find ships, airplanes.
Yeah.
And then we figured out, oh, hey, we can scout the whole entire seafloor with this.
Yep.
Afterwards.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the same technology.
And then that same tech was used to find submarines.
And then we use that tech to kind of fly people to the moon eventually. Just build off of it. So all of this to say, if you're doing a golden age world, I would start my characters off pretty high level. Or if you're playing without levels, a lot of points that they can spend.
Or high level in whatever session, like high-ish in power of whatever
game
system you're in.
Right. So if you're going to do a Golden Age Vampire the Masquerade, it sounds weird, but you're going to do a Golden Age Vampire the Masquerade, you would...
fourth gen vampire,
you'd
set it, stats accordingly?
You'd set it way back before the Roman Empire, or the beginning of the Roman Empire, where the vampires were incredibly powerful. If you were doing this in a fantasy setting, you're doing this at the height of the wizards, the height of magic. If you're doing this in a technological sci-fi, it's going to be not anything like a Shadowrun or a Cyberpunk, because you can argue that the world being taken over by corporations and stuff is a destruction of that.
Mm-hmm.
You'd instead create a what I would probably do if I was going to do a sci-fi version. I would do a game where we'd been invaded by aliens. We fought them off barely, and we were at constant war with alien technology and alien stuff.
Kind of take it to an Ender's Game before
Yes.
the cataclysms.
Yes, and what happens is we're at the height of our technological civilization, because we've all united, and we've all just only pumped money into
Against
things
that
to
foe.
help. Yep, exactly. We united on one purpose, and that's kind of what the Golden Age signifies, is all of your heroic types. So if you're going to do like a D&D, your elves, maybe it's just an elven civilization only. Maybe it's just a dwarven civilization only. Maybe it's just a human civilization only. And to a certain degree, it might have to be that, because a race trying to get along with another race may not be viable, specifically if there's already fear of an outside thing.
Yes. The only way that would work is if you have another threat that
Is
hurts
big
them
enough.
all.
Right.
So, going back to Lord of the Rings, if you like the Battle of the Five Armies at the Black Gates,
Right.
everybody's united. So you take that, but then you just bring it back in time to the first age of the elves.
Right.
And shoehorn in that the rest of the racers were there. That's kind of your golden age, if in Lord of the
doing it
Rings,
that way.
if you're having all the races.
Absolutely. So that said, the Golden Age is going to be one where your conflicts are high stakes. There's magic, or there's tech, or there's something flying around at immense levels.
This is your story of we're saving the universe if you're going to like a Marvel.
This is why they're really stupidly hard to run.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is the problem, I guess, with Marvel in general, and DC to a certain degree, but very much like, since Marvel has 1,000 movies, every single time they got to save the world. And then it's, oh, we got to save the universe now, with Thanos. And it's like, oh, we got to save the universe from the universe. Like, oh my God.
Superman can no longer save just Lois Lane in Metropolis. He has to be on the Justice League, and he has to save the whole entire world, if not multiple worlds or universes.
Right, and that's where things get interesting, right? Where it's like, we're not even just saving the universe, we're saving all planes of existence at the same time.
We're
You're like,
saving
oh
the
my God.
multiverse.
Oh my God. And that becomes a thing where there's a certain point where if you're doing a golden age of whatever, you got to keep amping the
ante. You have to keep upping the ante.
And this is where it gets somewhat tedious and somewhat hard to play. So I would recommend, and this is maybe a fun thing to think about, you may want to, and you go two ways with this.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe want to go backwards with it. So in the next episode, we're going to cover Silver Age or the Bronze Age. And the episode after that, we're going to cover either the Silver or the Bronze, whichever one we don't cover. But I would argue that it would be really interesting to start in the Bronze and then introduce some of the relics and stuff of the past, minor relics and major relics. And then go into the Silver, create the minor relics that your Bronze Age characters are playing with, and then do another game back and do a Golden Age where now they're creating and using the major relics that your other players have gotten a hold of.
It's very similar to your Dreg-Thuk that we haven't finished yet with the Parasite Demon. Because the first one was technically Clay Age.
It was Modern Age. It was like the 90s.
Clay
X-File.
Age using our age system.
Yeah.
Where we just stumbled upon the seals breaking, and we need to figure out how to reverse engineer Golden Age tech that we figured out to reseal him.
Yep.
Then we played one in the Silverish Age or the Bronzest Age, where we're demigods.
Yep.
Resealing him.
Yeah.
And then
he was
the
out.
next one is the Golden Age, which we haven't done yet, where we are going to seal him the first time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, where you got to seal him up the first time, and then somewhere in there he got out again and started taking over. So anyway, all that to say, the Golden Age is really hard to do. I would probably not be able to make a 6-month campaign out of it. Maybe like 5 adventures and be done with it.
The other way you could go before we sign off for this episode is you could have them play in the Golden Age right before and then the aftermath of it falling.
Yeah,
which is a better way which is an easier way to go, because you're only thinking maybe a month worth of upping the ante, and then everything falls back to a silver. But then you're a golden age in the beginning of a silver age world.
Right, or worse. So this becomes if you're familiar with Wheel of Time, I know you're not as familiar with Wheel, but if you're familiar, our audience, with the Wheel of Time, every single time the wheel turns, it's the world-breaking event where the maps and the continents and the seas and everything get turned topsy-turvy because of the power of one guy, the dragon. And then the world gets thrown into a set of disarray where they literally drop back almost into the Stone Age, and then they come back up again. And in that one, they talk about how in some worlds they describe a golden age where there was flying cars, and there were like flying, they didn't know what they were, they didn't call them cars, but people could fly anywhere they wanted and all this other stuff. But again, the dragon was born and destroyed that world too. And so you could have a thing where, I like the concept of, here's our golden age, here's this cataclysmic event, maybe the players can't stop it, but it throws you into a bronze or worse age, where then you can try to rebuild up into a silver age, at least in your small little neck of the woods. Because you know it's possible, but you don't necessarily have the ability or the skills to get back all the way.
Yes.
So anyway, that'll conclude kind of how to run a Golden Age campaign, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.